You know your polymers, your extruders, your material science inside and out. But when you look towards the highly lucrative US pharmaceutical market, there's a hidden compliance chasm that swallows millions of dollars in international capital every single year. Today, we're speaking directly to international business leaders and executive innovators. Welcome to the KLF Deep Dive. Now, the trap is simple, yet it's devastating. You assume that the US FDA food-grade compliance automatically equals FDA pharmaceutical approval. Let's be clear, it does not. Meeting the criteria for indirect food additives under 21 CFR Part 174 to 186, it's an excellent baseline. But the moment your plastic material touches a human drug or biologic, the regulatory playing field can shift completely. With a high-quality polymer that's qualified for food packaging, can it be legally and scientifically used as a container closure system for human drug product in the US? The Federal Food, Drugs, and Cosmetics Act, and that's the big one in the US, it explicitly states that drug product containers and closures must not be reactive, additive, or absorptive so as to alter the safety, identity, strength, quality, or purity of the drug. Official FDA guidance to the industry on container closure systems, it actually evaluates a packaging component based on its specific material of construction. It looks at chemical composition and its precise physical proximity to the final dosage form. So let's start by looking at the FDA's classification of packaging components. The agency divides your packaging into primary, secondary, and associated components. A primary packaging component is anything that comes into direct contact with the actual medicine. Think of a vial, a syringe, a blister pack, all those come directly in contact. Secondary components, they don't actually touch the drug directly. Think of like outer cartons or protective overwraps. But they're still scrutinized because they provide extra atmospheric protection, or if it's a volatile chemical like inks or adhesives, they can migrate through your plastic into the medicine.
Enjoying our content? We'd love to hear more. Please like, comment, share, and find more.
The FDA uses a risk-based matrix, and that correlates the route of administration to the likelihood of packaging and dosage form interaction. And this is your blueprint. If your manufacturing plant is supplying plastic for oral tablets or hard gelatin capsules, the FDA sees this as a low-risk interaction. For these low-risk oral dosage forms, the agency tells you that an appropriate reference to indirect food additive regulations is often sufficient for safety. But now let's switch that around. If your intent is to manufacture components for high-risk categories, think of liquid-based oral drugs, inhalation aerosols, intravenous injections, that food-grade argument doesn't work anymore. For these liquid-based and injection dosage forms, chemicals within the plastic matrix can leach into the drug vehicle. So if your polymer formulation contains an unapproved plasticizer, an antioxidant, or a mold release agent, those molecules can actually interact with the drug, and that can drop potency, or worse, toxic extractables can enter the patient's bloodstream. So for these high-risk applications, the FDA actually wants rigorous testing on the formed packaging component and not just the raw resin. You might have to look at USP Chapter 661, which is physiochemical data, Chapter 87 and 88 on biological reactivity data, and comprehensive quantitative extraction profiles. Follow our page on LinkedIn that are paired with toxicological evaluations. So while international plastic manufacturers can use food-grade compliance as a baseline, especially with solid oral dosage forms, you cannot bypass the specialized pharmaceutical testing for liquid-based or sterile injectable delivery systems. To successfully win US market share, you must build your CMC, your chemistry manufacturing control documentation, directly around the 4 pillars of suitability, which is protection, safety, compatibility, and performance. So here's the question. Are you simply testing for food safety, or are you also testing for pharmaceutical extractables? If you require strategic regulatory navigation, or if you need counseling on aligning your manufacturing capabilities with US FDA expectations, let us help you. Check out the Kulkarni Law Firm website at kulkarnilawfirm.com to schedule your consultation. Thanks again for listening to the KLF Deep Dive. Stay compliant, and we'll reach out to you and we'll catch up with you on the next episode. Call, click, or email